Good morning, everyone. We're back with another video, continuing on with the painting panel project. Now, I apologize for the kind of crappy lighting. That was just due to it being like 05 in the morning and me having to still struggle with kind of a poor setup, but I'm working on it. So here, again, we are going to be doing a starry background piece. Now, I apologize for the glare you're seeing. That was because the light I was using was kind of directly overhead, and I had to adjust it over the course of doing this spread to get it so there wasn't any glare and you could actually see the color gradient. But it's a learning process, so we're getting there. Right now it's just black, a navy blue, and a white at the very bottom. You want to do a gradient from black to lighter, just like a normal horizon line. And the worst part of it is that I couldn't really see as well as I needed to be able to do a proper spread because it was all very dark. Maybe not in the video, but it was all very dark when I was doing it, so I couldn't really tell exactly what I was doing, but it ended up turning out close enough to how the other ones look that you can't really tell. At least I could tell, but maybe the viewers couldn't. But either way, as long as it turned out right, that's what I'm happy with. And here I'm adding a little bit more blue because it wasn't turning up as much as it should have, especially up that top portion where it's black. It needs to fade a little bit better into the blue, which fades down to like a grayish white. That's what I'm doing at this point. I'm doing a little bit more blending, try to get the colors to grade a little bit better. One thing to note is if you're having issues with the paint spreading, maybe it's just you didn't use enough or the actual canvas is too dry, you can just dip your paintbrush in a little bit of clean water and it'll spread whatever color you're trying to paint with a little bit more evenly. It'll be thinner, which is the whole point of what I was trying to do here, but it'll make it so you don't have to use more and more paint, have to keep working to try to blend it in, especially if it's already dry. Well, the rest of the paint's already dry. Apparently, at this point, I somehow cut out the clip that has me spackling the background with the stars, which I'll explain how to do that. You usually take a toothbrush or a particular brush that has like hard bristles, dip it in a little bit of paint, put a little bit of water on there, and then just kind of flick it. Like use your finger and kind of like pull and do a little flick on there. I'm not sure how that got erased, but it did. But anyway, I will try to do better with the editing in the future. As for what I'm doing now, I am painting the floating soil ground that's been part of each one of these panels on the project. Like the tree got ripped up from the ground and it's just floating there in space or some sort of thing. It's all meant to kind of look a bit ethereal, which is pretty much the running theme for them all. So right now I'm just using straight up black. There's a little bit of glare, which I apologize for, but using black to kind of paint in the soil, and then it's all connected with roots and whatever else. So yeah. And right around here, I'm starting to get ready to do the actual tree itself. I kind of went a little too much with that particular flat brush, but in the end, it kind of turned out because I ended up using just enough red, orange, and yellow to blend it in. Because if I haven't told you already, and I don't think I mentioned it, this is like an autumn tree or something like that. No, it actually is an autumn tree. I did one in the past, but it didn't really turn out the right way because I used kind of like gold, yellow, orange, brass, red, and green all together. This one I just wanted to fix it up and just make it just a plain, simple, like autumn or fall tree. So here I realized if I prop up the canvas, the glare will be reduced a little bit. Definitely not the most professional way of doing this, but it worked for the video. Now I have to adjust and figure out a different way of lighting all this for you all can see. Now back to the dabbing method with this little like loose kids brush. Like I said in the last video, the only time I ever use these brushes is when I'm doing this. Because all I'm doing is taking a little bit of red, it's just like an apple red, and a little bit of it. It kind of looks a little bit much right now, which is okay because the background's supposed to be more red. I'm taking it, just kind of dabbing it, following the tree branches in some sort of like, mostly kind of like a random pattern, but I want to try to make it look a little bit more 3D, like the tree has more depth. And I continue that on with the other colors, like orange and yellow, and like a little bit of a brighter yellow in the future. Oh, and if I didn't mention, I use a heat gun to make this a little bit faster, which you can use that or a blow dryer. I use a heat gun, it works best, gets it done a lot quicker. And here comes the orange. I believe it's like pumpkin orange, but I mean, I get them all from the big box store with the W, so ultimately they're all pretty much from the same brand. But here we go again, dabbing the orange on there, do a little bit more depth, a little bit more, I guess pop would be the word. Yeah, continue this on until I get to yellow, and then I'll end up doing the highlights for the actual ground or the soil. I think it's the last thing I do besides sign it, I believe. Here I'm realizing that the branches aren't full enough, so I'm kind of like expanding the orange out a little bit. Make the tree a little bit more full. Like if you can see that little middle section there, it kind of just looks a little plain and kind of flat. I'm going to fix that up later, make it look a little bit, yeah, right there, like where I started. It's going to make it look a little bit better. And here I'm just adding a little bit more of the red to give it a little bit more depth. That way it doesn't look like it blends into the blue as much. And I'm about to do the yellow. Obviously I have to dry it off a bit first, because if you don't dry off the paint, it will blend together a bit. And when you're trying to just spread one color over other colors, you don't really want the color that's already on the canvas to kind of run and spread. That's why I'm heating it up right now. And here we go with the yellow to bring a little bit more fullness out. I'm really gonna fix up that middle area. I'd say at this point, if you're someone interested in starting to paint, trees are a really good, easy way of practicing getting different color contrast and depth and bringing a more realistic appearance to just basically splotches of color. It's what I've been using. It helps with the realism, and it helps with you getting better. Right now, I am about to start doing the highlights for the floating soil. It takes me a little bit to get the color right, because if you go too dark, it's just going to blend into the black. If you go too light, it's just going to pop a little bit too much. So doing kind of like a lighter brown, or well, a darker brown than the base color itself. Here it is, the base brown layer. After we're done with that, we'll go to the lighter layer. And this is the application of the lighter brown. That actually looks like it has a highlight to it. Getting close to being done with all the highlights. Now, when you actually varnish canvases with there's a particular kind of varnish you use. I don't have a can with me right now. I think it's Kamar varnish. It doesn't yellow over time, but it'll bring these colors out a little bit better. And like I said before, the lighting in this video and in my little workshop here was not the best for this. So everything seems kind of like dull and muted, which I'm obviously going to be working on fixing that in the future. And this painting will be number 7 out of the full 12. So I'll have, well, just a few more to do. Yeah. And then I'll be able to show you all the finished, I guess, panel project, whenever we get to that. Here, again, I needed to lighten up the little white area a little bit better. Using my finger to kind of smear the white a little bit. It's watered down white paint, so it's not just straight on white. So it allows for the ability to actually, smear it on there and make it a little bit lighter. And there we have it. This is another finished painting, aside from the varnish. I would ask if you would subscribe, like, and share, and comment. If you do, that helps me make the wife happy, since this whole channel is inspired by her. She wanted me to paint things, so yeah. Appreciate the watch. Y'all have a good day. See you in the next one. Bye.